I applied on the company's website. There's no other way for you to apply. You have to go to the company website. And I believe I applied for a cosmetics position. And within the next day, I received an email saying that they were going to interview me. And I got so lucky because I got a phone interview. I think they took about 2 days to finally call me. But when they did, boy, I was in class and I couldn't pick up the call. Something told me that it was them and to wait. And thank God I did, because they emailed me saying that they tried to reach me. But when I called back, this lady picked up the phone, and the same lady who picked up the phone ended up being the same person to interview me. And she was so nice. I got so lucky and so blessed. When you go to any interview, the first question that you're going to be asked is, tell me about yourself. This is literally so simple and literally the easiest question that you'll ever answer at every single interview. And you just have to be honest. So I'm going to tell you how I answered that question. So my name is Lona V, and I'm a college student. I study business administration. I am into makeup. And honestly, I'm just looking for a place that I can get started, because I want to pursue a career in cosmetics and tie that together with my business degree that I'll have further down the road. And I think Macy is a great place for me to start. You want to incorporate the business into what you do and who you are as a person. So from my answer, she got that I'm going to school, I'm a business major, and I love makeup. So perfect. I studied for my interview, which is something that I highly recommend. And really, I took this interviewing process like a test, basically. I looked up on Google, like, what are the most common questions that people ask when they're applying to Macy. A lot of the questions that came up, I was asked during my interview. So I remember just like feeling a whole bunch of weight lifted off my shoulders because I studied for it. But one of the tricky questions that they asked me was, tell me a time that you sold an item to a person who wasn't looking for that item. So I told them that I was a recruiter, and I got this part. I did get lucky because I told them what I used to work for, and they were like, oh my goodness, I used to work for the same exact thing. So I got so lucky at that point, because her and I started having a back and forth thing. And that's another tip that I need to give you guys if you're going on an interview, is to remember that the person that is interviewing you, they're real people. So just, even though you feel nervous, like, fake confidence. If you're not happy and you're having a rough day, the person who's interviewing you, they don't care. They just need somebody to fill in this position. You know what I mean? So just keep in mind that the person interviewing you, they're a real person. So just try to connect with them, because you'll appear more confident, and try to smile a lot. Like, that's a huge tip that I can give you. Just smile. Honestly, like, even though my interview was on the phone, I was smiling the whole time. I was just cheesing. I was like, yeah, da 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 da. Like, just trying to make sure that the person interviewing me has like this friend connection, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that make sure the interviewer feels comfortable talking to you. And if you're a student and you mention that, they're gonna ask you what your major is, because every single interview that I've been to afterwards, and I tell them my degree, they always ask, how does this job go hand in hand with my degree? And luckily, I'm in business administration. Any job I apply to will apply to that, like, because, you know, a job's a job, and a paying job is a business, like, you know what I mean? So that's fortunate. But like, if you're studying to be a doctor, maybe correlating that is going to be a little harder. So I suggest that you really strategize the way that you're gonna answer that question, because that question does come up a lot, like more often than not. Another tip is, if you're confused by a question, just ask the interviewer to phrase it differently, because I definitely did that like about twice during my interview. The first time I did it, I didn't really understand the question, so I was like, can you repeat the question, but like in a different way? I don't understand you. And that's totally fine, that's okay. So she rephrased it different. Another time that I did that, I lied. I was like, I'm sorry, I couldn't really hear you, just so she could repeat the question, just to buy me more time, you know what I mean? But anyways, after my interview, I was told on the spot that I was going to be working for them, and they gave me my salary. I want to say it was like $11 an hour or something like that. Now the training process, when you go to your training, you're going to receive an email saying where you have to go, how to dress, and all this stuff. Honestly, wear whatever you want. When I went to mine, I was dressed up in a blazer. I was wearing a suit. I looked so good. I walk in and I see girls wearing leggings and Uggs. Bruh. because I felt way out of place. I felt super overdressed. Wear whatever you want. In my personal opinion, I think it's better to overdress than to underdress for any job. The training, you're going to be sitting down in front of a computer for hours, but you can skip through it. I highly recommend you read it all because it is really helpful. Then you move on to scanning some papers, and then after your training, you get to shadow people. And when you get to shadow people, I got to shadow people on Black Friday, so it was hectic, but it was really fun. Even though I applied to cosmetics, they assigned me to fragrance, which made me so sad. Working at Macy's, I loved it and I hated it at the same exact time because the technology there, it was super old. Some of the machines weren't even working. I hated the poor management that my location had. Like, I would walk in there and have no idea what I have to do. So I remember I would just walk up to any register, I'd clock in, and then after I clock in, I'd start my shift, and I would just take whatever register was there and just start selling stuff. Because if you're not doing anything, a manager will come around and they'll move you to a different place. That way you could do something. But most of the days I wasn't doing anything. So I would make it obvious that I'm not doing anything. Please move me. So a lot of the times I would get moved to a complete different department. I probably worked more in the homes department of Macy's than I did at actual fragrance. I even worked at handbags at a point. I even worked at, let's see, with clothing. I also worked overnight shift. I worked one overnight shift, which was bizarre considering the fact that I applied for cosmetics. Like, it should be, if you apply for this job, you should be working at that job. You know what I mean? Like, I accepted this and that's not what I got, which at the time I thought was fine because I really needed the money. If you apply for their seasonal positions, you'll most likely get in. It wasn't a fun time, but it was experience and I did learn a lot of stuff. And honestly, I would work there again. I did apply again. So there you go. That is my interview, my training, my experience. Would I work there again? Yeah, I would, because minimum wage is now $15 an hour, and I'm okay being not okay for a couple hours. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, guys, please subscribe down below. Bye.